Special Sundays. I am your host, Miss Special. What I'm going to do right now is I got an interview with Illecism. I got Trade Voorhees on the phone line. We are doing the second anniversary of Child's Play. Child's Play dropped 2 years ago, February 13th. It's my favorite Illecism tape, and it's just a really dope tape in general. We're going to have Illecism introduce himself.
Yo, what's up? My name is Illecism. I represent Sacramento, California. Fly high or die.
And we have a caller on the line. Would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Trade Voorhees. What's going on?
Haha, just chilling. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
So, how did you get the name Trade Voorhees?
When I was probably a freshman in high school, I was still going by my regular name, freestyling and shit at the tables. And used to go by trademark. I don't know if anybody really knows anything about history of rap, but John Cena, who is a very famous wrestler, he had a sidekick rapper with him named Trademark, so obviously that had to go. And then, of course, rap history as it goes along, we all know about Trademark skydivers, so, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jets and shit. I had to change my name somehow. Back in 2003, I changed my name. I cut off the mark because people weren't saying it too much, and then, added the Voorhees because I'm a huge horror movie lover fan. The Voorhees comes from Jason from Friday the 13th series.
No wonder I didn't get it because I don't watch scary movies because I'm a scaredy cat. So that's completely over my head because I do not enjoy being scared. That's not one of my favorite things in the world. But if you do, hey, that's dope.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things.
Very nice. And then we're going to have Illecism tell us how he got his name.
I was 11 years old. I was freestyling. I just said it. I said Illecism. I was rhyming with lyricism. I said Illecism and ended up sticking with it.
That's dope. I like that. 11 years old. That was a long time ago.
That's about 10 years ago.
So let's talk about Child's Play. How did you and Trade Voorhees link up?
He was friends with my friend Papes first. So he hit me up on MySpace when he heard my music on Papes' MySpace. This is a long time ago. Papes was like, yeah, that's my homie. And next thing you know, he sent me a couple beats. I didn't really like them, so once he sent me. And I told him, you know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, so just send me hella beats. I was like, just send me hella because he didn't send me enough for me to really judge his production. You know what I'm saying? So I told him to send me some more. And he did. And there was one beat in there called Child's Play. He had a beat, and I wrote the first song to it, which was my song Child's Play, which is on the tape. And he heard it, and I was like, you should just get on this with me. You feel me? His name is Trade Voorhees, so on some horror movie type shit. You feel me? I was like, you should get on it. He got on it. It came out tight, and then I was like, hell, we may as well just do a tape. Yeah, it worked out, so we started working on it.
So, do you have anything to add to that glorious story, Trade Voorhees?
It's exactly how he sounds. Basically, I moved to Chico for about 2 months. Chico, California, which is a little bit of an outskirt outside of Sacramento, about an hour away. Like he said, I've been Pape's friend for almost 8 years. So, me and Pape, we were hanging out one night, and I got the introduction of Illecism and Jose, and we linked up, and I remember our first conversation, me talking shit about atmosphere and all kinds of crazy jazz. It turned out to be a cool little friendship, and then, it went on from there. I ended up moving back to Las Vegas. That's when we started connecting as far as the Child's Play project came about.
So the first track I want to get into off of Child's Play is Good Guys. You want to introduce that one to the people?
Good Guys. This is Illecism's solo track on the record, if I'm not mistaken. Probably one of my best beats, in my opinion. Sampled the Reanimator soundtrack. Amazing movie.
Show me how he works, okay?
When I was a good guy, straight and narrow was the pad.
Special Sundays. That was Good Guys. Illecism, produced by Trade Voorhees, off of that Child's Play. And we still got Trade Voorhees on the phone line.
Yeah.
So I asked Illecism what his favorite song was on the tape.
Yeah, my favorite song on Child's Play is probably Greener Grass. Yeah, I Want to Be that's my one too. It was the first song I had written for the tape, but it was the last one that I recorded.
All right. So what is your favorite song, Trade Voorhees?
I'd say I Wanna Be is probably up there, which is Illecism's solo track. I just love that beat. That, you know, we ended up using that same sample twice.
Oh, wow.
I sampled that record twice, which is a Cannibal Ferox, another horror movie, and just the way he came about recording that record, I was like, oh my God, this is probably the most godly record I've ever heard my entire life. Like, it was really a great record. But other than that song, I'd say Neighborhood, simply because of the premise of it. It's such an animated record, and it's just a great record to me. Neighborhood is ridiculous.
Exactly. Me and Illecism actually talked about Neighborhood. Let's get into that.
Why did you choose to do the Neighborhood? Like, you sang on there, did he make the beat first, or were you like, oh, I want to do this for my childhood? Because that's my favorite track.
Okay, how the Neighborhood came about, he had sent me the beat. Like, I saw all the tracks on Child's Play when they were just beats that I had. And he was throwing me new stuff once we started doing the tape. It was one of his favorite samples, I guess, So he had flipped it, and he was excited about it, and he gave me it. He had a hook, and then I just wrote my verse. He already had his verse on it, and I added all the funny stuff at the end and at the beginning, at the end of the album when I was already done recording all the music.
I gotta love the singing on that track. It's hilarious.
Thank you.
So why, Trade Voorhees, did you decide to flip the Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood song?
I think it was mainly on the premise of how the album was already panning out. I think we had like 4 or 5 records already recorded, and it was basically the whole factor of Child's Play. Initially I had this record that was kind of sitting on the back burner called Toy Box, where it kind of played back and forth, me and Illecism talking about this toy, and my toy was the beat machine and his toy was the microphone, and like I said, that one kind of sat on the back burner. It never actually got finished. But Neighborhood was the second track that I had sent to Illecism, which was my idea. And I think Neighborhood, it kind of stuck out a little better than Toy Box did. Neighborhood, it kind of just gives off that intro vibe. It kind of introduces you to me if you've never heard of me before, and it also introduces you to Illecism if you've never heard of him before.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is get into it right now. You want to introduce it to the people?
Neighborhood is probably my favorite record off of Child's Play.
Mine too. Let's go. Special Sundays.
Hi, television neighbor. I'm glad we're together again.
In my neighborhood, it's mad fights and tough shit. You better be carrying a knife or a musket, cause it's deeper than the skinny girl vaginal region. No wonder parents get mad at you heathens. Allow me to introduce myself.
Special Sundays.
So why did you choose to do the little singing thing on most of the tracks? Is it just because Mom said girls don't like when guys rap to them, so you chose to sing to him, or?
Not even that. I like to show bars in everything I do, so I knew I could sing on some of his tracks. His beats got good melodies. They got melodies that are easy for me.
Trade Voorhees, off the air, we were talking about how he kind of saw these melodic patterns in your production. I've heard this from a lot of producers, how you kind of paint a picture. You see this picture in your mind, and then the production just kind of goes from there. You want to talk to the people a little bit about that and how that worked for this project?
For the most part, the way I look at it is, as a producer, you build an empty canvas for the writer, and then, the writer goes on and writes how he feels that canvas should paint it upon, you know what I mean? Like, for instance, with I Want to Be I had no idea where Illecism was going with that record until the day Child's Play dropped. And I think that added an aura that to this day is still prevalent as far as like how classic the record is, because we have a really cult following with this album. So I think that had a lot to do with, the connection between me and Illecism in writing these records.
Yeah, one of the main reasons why I decided to do this was because when I first got into the Sacramento scene, I'm like, okay, there's Illecism, and I was like, Illecism's not really my style. Like, people have different tastes, but everybody's like, no, you need to listen to Child's Play. It will completely change your whole thinking about whatever you don't like. I was like, oh, okay, like I'll check out Child's Play. And I completely understand why you guys got the cult following from it, because it's just so cohesive and it's just so in tune. It's just dope at the end of the day. So I had to do this.
The cohesiveness, I think that is a big thing in this album, is we didn't step too far outside of the boundaries, and we kind of kept that whole childish playing, back and forth. Like, we have songs like Hide and Seek where Illecism wrote Hide and Seek initially. You listen to the hooks, you can pretty much tell who wrote what, you know what I mean? So with that said, we kind of kept the childish thing. There was a thing where we were going to pass Chucky back and forth as a toy, kind of like how friends play with toys, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how the album is it's kind of like our toy, and we're passing it back and forth and showing people, you know, although at the end of the day, it's a serious matter. Music to us is something that we've always had a passion for since we were children, and this is basically our plaything. This is our playtime, you know?
That's dope. Like, the passion for it and, you know, being able to play with it and being able to actually have fun with it instead of taking it completely serious, but still putting out something that's quality music and that's still dope while still having fun and still kind of playing.
Exactly.
I love it. So I also talked to Illecism about the track Demetrius.
Who's Demetrius?
Demetrius is just funny. Me and my homie Nicotine, that's how we clown. And I wanted a skit where we just had some mean ass dude just pick on us when we were smaller, you feel me? So Demetrius just seemed like the perfect name for that character, for the villain.
The kids on Mommy's Little Monster, were those kids that you know or kids that Trade knows?
Trade's little brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, his little brothers.
They go so hard.
Yeah, they
I was
went
like,
hard.
Damn.
Yeah, they were hella tight. How he would do, he would send me a folder of just hella stuff he had on his computer because I needed audio from Child's Play. And with the audio that he sent me and that, he had some audio of his little brothers he had recorded and them just talking hella trash. And he didn't know where it would fit. He just sent me, he was like, I'm just sending you this to see if it can fit somewhere. And then about a week later, he sent me the beat for Mommy's Little Monster. We went ham on that one too. Mommy's Little Monster, he sent me his verse and the beat. And then I wrote my verse. It was the verse I had lightweight, and I gassed it on it. It was perfect for the tape.
So those were your little brothers.
One of them's my little brother.
Okay.
My little brother had a little slumber party, I guess you'd call it, that night. It was me and my cousin. I brought my little brother into the studio, and I was like, you know what? Let's just hang out for a little while. And we kind of just told jokes for a little while. And, you know, they came up with all that stuff on their own. I just let them talk.
All on their own, for real?
Yeah, they're about 11, 12 years old, I'd say.
Okay. They sound a little bit younger. I thought they were like 8-year-olds. I'm like, damn.
It's the innocence of children, you know. Kids, they watch TV, you know, they study music and stuff like that. And in the same sense, like, they don't really understand what they're talking about. It's kind of the same way as like when I used to run around rapping Snoop Dogg's lines and I would say crazy stuff about smoking Indo and shit like that. My mom would be like, where the hell did you hear that from, you know? That was kind of the situation that I placed them in. Is like, where the hell did y'all hear that from, you know?
Exactly. So what I want to do right now is get into playing with Demetrius, and then we're going to jump right into Mommy's Little Monsters. So you want to introduce Playtime with Demetrius to the people?
Playtime with Demetrius features Nicotine in the background, if I'm not mistaken.
We're going to listen for him. So let's go. Right here, Special Sundays.
Fuck, never gonna finish watching Dragon Ball. Trey, what up, nigga? Shit, all the way from Vegas?
Hey, have you ever seen Clarissa Explains It All? Yeah. You look like his little brother. Ferguson! You look like Ferguson, my nigga.
Why are you gonna fucking comment me like that? Okay, cool.
Like I said, you're listening to Special Sundays radio show right here on KSFS every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. And right now, we are right in the midst of celebrating the 2-year anniversary of Child's Play. That right there was Mommy's Little Monsters off of Child's Play. The tape is by Illecism and Trade Voorhees. And Trade Voorhees is still on the phone line. So let's talk about the crazy production that you did on Child's Play. First and foremost, on Greener Grass, the crazy Chris Brown flip. Like, I remember, I was like a sophomore in high school. And yes, I bumped that Chris Brown album. And that was one of the best tracks on there. And then I was talking to somebody and they were like, yeah, did you know that on Greener Grass, that's Chris Brown? And I was like, what? And then once I finally sat there and like really listened to it, I was like, whoa. And then you had the Vimeo video of you actually flipping it. And I was like, whoa, like it really all makes sense now. So why did you choose to use that Chris Brown song?
To be honest, I think it was just one of the records. I think Illecism said it earlier. I gave Illecism a folder of like 100-something beats in it. And the Chris Brown flip. I can't even tell you when that came. I'm not a crazy Chris Brown fan, but I've heard that album plenty of times. He's actually working on a remix of Kiss Kiss. You know that record?
Yep. Love it, dub it.
Yeah, and I was making a remix for that to put on YouTube, and then right around that same time, I came up with that Ain't No Way. Man, the intro of that record is just so epic to the point where I was like, I gotta use these instruments, like in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's just where it came from. I was just listening to that record so many times and being infatuated with those sounds that I was just like, man, I gotta do something with this.
Crazy. What other songs did you sample for this project besides, like, I know you used a lot of Child's Play clips, you used clips from, as we saw, the kids and different things like that. What else did you use in the process of the project?
Several horror movies. I won't go too deep into that because, you know, I like to keep my secrets just a little bit. I think I've said too much as it is. But, you know, as far as horror films go, I sampled a lot of horror films on this one. I sampled Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
Oh, wow.
That was a crazy one. I think that's probably one of our, you know, most known records simply because of that sample. I know I get hit up in emails on the constant, like, is that a Zelda sample? And I'm like, yeah, of course, you know, you got me. I replayed the elements. I never even really sampled.
So what I want to do is get into Greener Grass, see if they can hear the Chris Brown, if not, just enjoy the dopeness of the track itself. So you want to introduce it to the people?
Greener Grass, probably one of the most insightful records to ever come out of hip-hop. Definitely something for the underground heads that are trying to get out. Like, as far as up-and-coming rappers, definitely a note, too, you know?
Definitely. Let's get into it. Greener Grass off of Child's Play, right here, Special Sundays.
What if the grass is not really greener? What if those who love you decide to leave ya? On this side of the fence, we struggle day by day, knock on doors of success.
So that about wraps up the Child's Play 2-year anniversary. Thank you so much, like, for making the project, for calling in, for all that good stuff. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
So, what is next for you? What are you working on?
I'm heavy on promo for my last project, which I dropped on my birthday, December 15th. It's called The Green Album.
Okay.
I'm looking to do work on videos and think I'm going to release my first single, which is Amy's song. You know, heavy promotion. Y'all want to check it out? TradeVoorhees.com.
Perfect. And then any other shout-outs, contact info, things we should know?
If you guys want to contact me on Twitter, it's Mr. Mike TV, MrMike TV. Shout out to Kill Off. Shout out to Fly High. Shout out to everybody that listens to my music. You have no idea how much my appreciation is for you. You know what I mean? Everybody. I shout out everybody that listens to my records from here in Las Vegas to all the way to Germany.
Beautiful, beautiful thing. And to wrap up the Illecism part of the Child's Play interview, ask them a couple more questions.
So let's fast forward 2 years to now.
Yeah.
So Cloud Stripe just dropped.
Yeah, Cloud Stripe.
What do you have in the works for that? I know it's on iTunes for the
iTunes
Japan. You also have it up on your website for
Yeah.
download. And then what else can we expect from you with that project? Any more promotional type things?
Yeah, I was just dropping it for fun, you feel me? I have a studio in my room, so
Nice.
it's easy for me to make music. So I just be doing it for the hell of it. But, you know, I'm going to push it in a little while. I'm about to go to Japan this year and do a couple shows. So Cloud Stripe will be pushed when I'm out there. We're also going to shoot some video out there for Cloud Stripe. More than anything.
Anything else next for you? Anything we should be looking out for?
Tour. I'll be touring soon. All my fans who haven't seen me, want to see me perform live. I'll be out in your city soon.
Very, very nice. Shout outs, contact info, anything of that nature for the people?
www.ilthy.com, ILLTHY.com, www.weareflyhigh.com. From there, you'll be able to find me any type of way you need to find me on your social networks. You can go to those two websites.
Special Sundays radio show with me, your host, Miss Special, right here on KSFS, every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m., bringing you hip-hop, local events, artist interviews, and making you feel special, right here on ksfs.sfsu.edu. And every episode is podcasted on specialsundays.podomatic.com.